Alrighty, Grumpy Grandpa here today, or might I say, Chef Grumpy Grandpa. We are here today because Grumpy Grandpa loves homemade bread, and I like homemade bread. I'm gonna go search the internet, the thing called YouTube, and see if I can find any recipes for homemade bread. One thing Grumpy Grandpa did not realize is that bread takes forever to make. I mean, I got guys wearing cowboy hats going, yo, you just gotta put in some of the flour, and then you gotta let it raise for like 5 days. And then I got some lady from England going, you need to knead the bread, then set it aside and knead the bread again. And it's like, I think the fastest I found was a 2-day process to make homemade bread. And Grumpy Grandpa doesn't roll that way. Grumpy Grandpa wants bread immediately. I don't have time to be making bread. So, you know, after searching the internet, I came across something, not on the internet, but a tried and true recipe and technique that dates back about 2 hours in my brain. I said, why don't I just take flour, salt, the butter, that's just for cooking it later, and like some oil to oil the pan, and why don't I just put it all together, mix it, and throw it in the oven and see what happens. So we're gonna see today just what happens. And I'm sorry about the angle here. I'm like way off in the distance. I'm gonna make it right here. I was gonna have a 2-camera angle shot, make it all professional. So I was asking my wife, who's in the other room right over there, to help me out. Like, can you operate one of the cameras for me and help me out? She said no. I'm like, why not? I mean, then I looked around and I saw what was on the TV, and the Gilmore Girls were on TV. So I was like, oh yeah, priorities, yeah. Watch Gilmore. So it's just me today, and so I'll try to angle it. Maybe I'll move the camera around and give you a good angle. So yeah, let's get started with this experimentation today. Grumpy Grandpa, Chef Grumpy Grandpa, is gonna try just making bread and see what it tastes like. So let's get to it. Alrighty, let's just put the flour. Another thing I learned on the internet, on the YouTube, is that when did we start using a scale to cook? Where have I been living here lately? I mean, it's like, and it's all in metric. It's like you're gonna take 10 millimeters of flour, and I mean, we had a measuring cup back in the day. And also, I got a question for you, because I started remembering, I'm like, what did my mom do with flour? And I'm like, she always took the flour and she sifted it. If somebody can write in the comments down below, why did we sift flour back in the day? I have no idea. It's still a mystery today. It's just things that I think of, you know, things I come across. Okay, so I'm going to take this flour and I'm just going to put what seems to be maybe a cup and a half or something like that. I don't know. That's just the way I roll. But then I'm going to take some salt, because salt makes, heart-healthy salt makes everything taste better. So let's go ahead and put a generous amount of salt in this thing. Because people don't realize it. They say, oh, I don't like salt. I don't eat salt. But every thing of bread you eat has salt in it, and probably a lot of it. So get over it. I'm going to take my dry mixer device and I'm going to mix that in. Grumpy Grandpa forgot the water. So hold on, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I got the water. I like to be laser focused on this show. So let's just start mixing this flour. I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. And I'm using hot water, you know, it's tap water, hot, because I don't have yeast. I don't even know if it's going to raise. I'm not going to give it any time to raise. I'm just going to throw it in the oven. So this reminds me of a story, actually. Is whenever I was going to college, it was a summer in between college, and I was working 2 jobs. I was working for stonemasoners, mixing. My only job was to mix mud, or the mortar in between. And you know, the stones are heavy, and it's not like brick, it's stone. Like, they can be really heavy stone. So the mortar had to be mixed not too wet, not too dry. So all I got all summer long was, it's too wet, it's too dry, it's too wet, it's too dry. We need more mud. And I couldn't mix it fat. And it could be mixed in one of those tumbler deals. I had to do it in a trough because it had to be perfect. So I had to mix it in a trough. And I couldn't mix it faster. I couldn't keep up with them. They would be laying it, just throwing it behind the stone, because stone has big gaps in it. So, but I'd do that all day long, working for stonemasoners. And then in the evening, I would park a valet car parked in the evening time. So it was good. Worked really hard. You know, I paid for my own room and board at college, and of course you needed beer money. I mean, that's obvious. So yeah, it's starting to flake up here, but I don't want it flaky. I want it to be doughy. So you got to be careful if you put in too much water. Just like cement, everybody that mixes cement knows, put in too much water, it gets too wet. So we're just going to keep on adding in here. Besides, it gives me time to tell you good stories. So while I was working for those guys, I would, you know, it started out on ground level, and then it kept on going up, and it was a three-story chimney they were working on whenever I first started with them. And, you know, as they got higher, all they did was they took like a piece of scaffolding over here and they put a 2x12, just about that wide, ramp up to the one platform. And as they kept on getting higher, they just put another scaffolding over here and another ramp. I had to take 2 5-gallon buckets of mortar, or mud as they called it. And I get a running start and go up one plank to another one. But the whole time, I'm like, why don't we just put a pulley at the end of the scaffolding where you guys are working way up there, and I'll just pull the mud right up to you. I mean, it'll be safer and stuff. And they're like, no, we've been doing it 100 years this way, and we'll do it for the next 100 years this way. So I'm like, you know, I'm trying to make life safer and easier, right? You know, let's not work hard. Let's work smart. No, that's not how they roll, man. Unless they just wanted to torture me, which is probably half of their fun, is just watching me run up 2x12s that I could fall off to my death. And that was their entertainment for the day. And scream at me to make more mud, make it more, you know, wet, dry, you know. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing here, but let's go. I'm gonna go to this is gonna be my dough mixer right here. The butt of a butter knife. Because it's sticking to that thing. Let's see what we got here. Oh, it's getting good. I don't know. What do you... I'm afraid to put any more water. Oh, that's probably good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Oh, and whenever you're working with flour, you always want to wear a dark shirt. So let's put a little bit. This is what they do on the shows, at least. They put a little bit of extra flour on top. Oh, I'll be right back. I gotta get my pan. Alright, I didn't clean it. I don't care. We don't need to clean it. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil or canola oil. I don't know. I don't even know the difference. But hopefully one or the other is good. And then I flour the back side of this a little bit. Man, it's sticky. All right. All right. Boom, let's set it out there. All right, can everybody see that? I'm gonna kind of smash it down a little bit. All right. Make it into, Alrighty, so that's what I got there, people. That's what I got, knuckleheads. And then all the professionals, they take a, I got dough all over me. They take a knife and they slice it. Why? I don't know. Well, I do. They say it's so whenever it raises, it can expand, but I'm not using yeast, but we're still going to give it a little bit of some scour marks on there. Alrighty. Man, I got a mess here. And then I'm just going to do that. So yeah, I think I made the stonemasoners proud at least. It wasn't too wet, wasn't too dry. So I'm going to go and I'm going to stick it in the oven. Preheated the oven. You might as well just start the oven because Grumpy Grandpa's technique, it only takes like 5 minutes to make the bread. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the oven at 450 and then I'll be right back with you guys. Alright, so here we are. Let me just hold this up to the plate there. I would have to say that you should not use this technique. Here, let me sit down here. Probably shouldn't, if you're wanting bread to cook a sandwich with, I don't recommend it. Not at all. But I like a nice thick hearty bread, like a meal. You know, I want my bread sometimes just to eat by itself, and it'd be more like a meal than just a fluffy, a bunch of air. So let's dig into this sucker. It's crunchy. Now I cooked it. All right, that's not working. Let's try this. All right. I can tell you one thing. On the bottom, it's crispy. See, it didn't really brown on top. Maybe if I could have put some butter something like that on top, it might have browned. But I waited till the edges started to brown, then I lifted it up and it was brown underneath. So I thought, okay, it could. Okay, let me explain something. I want to tell you exactly how long this took to cook, but I looked at the clock and it said 25 till. So I put it in the oven, and then about halfway through I looked at the clock, I don't know how, and it was still 25 till. And I go to my wife, I say, hey, the clock isn't moving. She goes, I know. I'm like, you knew. Why didn't you? So I can't even tell you. I'm going to guess 20 to 30 minutes I cooked this for. But let's go ahead and see, knuckleheads, how this tastes. So Gonna take some hard, healthy butter, and we're gonna put it on there. And this is how Grumpy Grandpa, I put salt in it, but I like salt and butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna salt it a little bit too. I don't know, is it coming out? There it goes. All right, so here we go. I'm not gonna lie to you, this is good. I would tell you if it was an epic failure, but I mean, it's like I don't know if you can see that, but it's really thick. I mean, it's heavy. When you pick this thing up, I'm gonna have to call this my Grumpy Grandpa Stonemason bread. It is actually, it's incredibly good. On the bottom, it's really crunchy, and it's a smidge mushy in the middle, but with I'm not gonna lie to you, it's really good. And it's heavy. I mean, if you want to just eat something for lunch and not have to have any meat or veggies or, you know, I would recommend this for stonemasons to eat, because if you're doing a lot of hard work and everything and you want something to sit in your stomach and fill you up, this is going to do it. Incredibly good hit. I mean, and I recommend butter and salt. This way, I'm extremely impressed and excited because it only took me, what, 5 minutes to make the dough and about 30 minutes to cook it. So I'm going to have to say, if you just want bread, not to make a sandwich out of it, unless you maybe like cut 2 of these, oh my gosh, and put some meat in between, I don't know. But if you just want bread as a meal, not to, you know, make a sandwich, this is the way to go, people. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this because it's really, really good. And okay, all you knuckleheads out there, have a good day. And remember, like I say always, at the end of my shows, see you on the flip side.